Yo, guys, welcome back to another episode of Blunt Society Elevator Insights. Today, we got the homie Noob Grows CPT. Yo, what's up, Noob Grows, bro?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, bro, I'm so excited. I'm finally happy to be on a podcast with you because you have completely revolutionized my growing game 100-fold. I'm talking about equipment, I'm talking about genetics, LST training clips, I'm talking about everything, so
Everything,
shout out
bro.
to you first and foremost. Thank you very much, brother.
No worries at all, my man. No worries at all.
So just I mean, we met on Instagram, and I know that I think you're from Cape Town because your name says Noob Grows CPT. So can you just tell us who you are and where you're from, bro, and what you do, dog?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man. So, firstly, you saying to you, my bro, you've definitely been doing a lot. Like you said, I've supplied you with some local genetics that I got from somebody else before. And you've been doing crazy things up country. You've definitely been growing fast and really putting in the time to hustle, especially with the YouTube videos, just pumping them out, my bro. It's not easy. It's not easy to edit things. It's not easy to record. There's all these problems and things like that. So, yeah, big ups to you. But yeah, in terms of myself, look, I started about 2 years ago, 2022. Pretty much, I saw Cali Green YouTube video. I don't know if you're familiar with Cali Green on YouTube.
Of
Anyway,
course, yes.
right? It was a outdoor, like a seed to harvest outdoor video, pretty much. And I saw this video, and I was like, nah, dude, I'm gonna get some seeds and I'm gonna try it. I said, oh, I'm gonna eat. So just put the seeds in the soil pretty much. He did the stop dressing, he uploaded it and everything. I was like, it's pretty simple. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not that easy to just get crazy. Obviously, you know what I mean? You learn things as you go on. But yeah, anyway, I got some seeds. I looked at the site at the time, was Marijuana SA. I'm sure you've heard of them as well. They're based in
Yeah,
Somerset West. Very good store.
yeah.
Have
Marijuana
quite a bit of
SA has got
stuff
a
as
lot of
well.
products.
Yeah, a lot of things as well, especially for a beginner. So I got my first set of seeds pretty much. I remember it was Simba seeds. There was a few, I can't remember the strains, I'm not going to lie. For the very first grow, it was like three Simba seed strains. It was $90 a seed, nothing crazy. I think it was Amnesia, Haze, Critical, something like that. And I really can't remember the third one. And it all like just single stems, nothing crazy at all. Like probably got like 7 Gs, my bro. And I
Yeah.
actually planted them. I started seeds outside in like January, so I did like it was like the worst time to ever start seeds outside, and I quickly learned like, hey, yeah, there's like certain elements that's not necessarily within your control. When you are outside, you're obviously going with the sun, and even where I'm located, because of the sun, I have a very short span outside. That's why I honestly don't grow outside. It's just because I have maybe a 2.5 month span where I get direct sunlight. The rest of the time, the sun like is just behind the roof line. So there's sunlight, but it's not direct. You know what I mean? That you really want, and it's maybe for like 4 hours of the day, 4 to 5 hours, and then it's boom, it's behind the roof line, and then the house is in shade at the back side of the house. The front side gets house, but that's like where all the cars and stuff are. You can't grow
Yeah,
if it's
of
not there.
course.
So
That's
yeah,
all the
so
all
pretty
the
much
eyes are.
exactly, yeah. So pretty much I stopped growing outdoors. I did like maybe 1 or 2 runs. Again, I got like very basic results just because my environment isn't ideal. Nothing against outdoor growers, if anything, more respect to them for doing something that's like you don't necessarily control all the aspects. There's no timers for the light outside, my bro. You gotta have like a lot of control within like there's a lot of things sorry that's not within your control, and you kind of got to deal with that as you go along. But anyway, as I was saying, then I started growing indoors pretty much. I did a 80 by 80 grow, did like 100 watt quantum board, nothing crazy at all. Probably pulled maybe like 100 grams, and this was with organics.
Yeah.
I will say I did like my first 2 runs or so with organics, and then it was okay. But that's because I really didn't know what I was doing. Not that I'm against organics in any sense or any form. It's
Yeah.
just like to do it properly. You kind of have to know good information about like microbiology and understanding feeding the soil, so that the soil can feed the plant and not you just feeding the plant directly in terms of
Yeah.
hydroponics. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, that was my first few grows, and then I switched over to flood and drain. I did that with a friend of mine who basically told me how to do everything. It was pretty simple. Did a few runs of that, and now I'm doing cocoa, which has so far been like kind of the best for me, the best of both worlds. And now I'm kind of looking forward to going to a bit of synganics as well. So maybe combining some organic stuff with some synthetic stuff as well. Getting the best of both worlds.
Man, that's really amazing. Thank you so much for giving us, really like your past experience up until
Yeah.
literally like where you are now. Because Synganics is like, where everybody's at right now of trying to merge the two,
Yeah.
give it the fast benefit of the synthetic nutrients, but also treating it in the most organic way possible, to also get the terps out. But I see that a lot of people, they really review a lot of your buds online. They really love like, your stock, because they really call it boutique flower. It's not like you'd call like outdoor something that's half God, half you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
something that you handcraft it from the seed, and you select your own lines as well. Sometimes you do get clones, like you said. But can you just tell me more about how you got to just these people that like they're raving about your grows? Because I've seen a lot of top people saying Noob Grows got some really good dank bud. So can you just tell us about how you
Yeah.
transition from having that outdoor vibe
Yeah. Yeah.
to truly wanting to create boutique indoor grows?
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. I'll say first of the start of growing, I wouldn't say outdoors better than indoor in any way. I would say like I've never seen somebody who doesn't love the plant grow good bud. Like I haven't seen somebody who doesn't put any passion or any effort into their growing, regardless whether it's indoor or outdoor, grow good bud. So that being said, I would say just for me to get to that point when I started out, I didn't really know a lot of information about environment and treating the plants properly, good genetics, reliable genetics, sourcing it from people who kind of put the time and effort to hunt and make sure things are stable. And yeah, there's kind of a lot of factors, but all in all, it comes to really just putting in effort in every single sector that you can. So whether it's your irrigation, if you're talking hydroponics, it's going to be like your irrigation. You're going to have to worry about your humidity, your temperature, your lighting, your extraction as well. It's a big one as well. You don't want to have any stale air in the place. You want to cycle the tent through at least a few times in a minute at least. This is obviously speaking if you're a tent grower. But yeah, pretty much just putting in the effort, taking the time to study what method you want to use and then applying it properly and then really taking the steps that is necessary that you need in order to get a good final product. Because if you cut corners, it's going to show, especially in like your drying and your curing. I mean, you could even do everything right. You could grow the best pie. You could do whatever you did like properly and get the right till the end and then mix it up within your dry and then it tastes like grass. So,
Yeah.
so I'll say big thing is really just improving in every single segment. There isn't necessarily one big thing that I did that changed the game. It was, knocking my toe, seeing, hey, I got the PM, I need to up my extraction, I need to make sure my humidity is in check. Then that doesn't happen. Or drying and it gets too hot, then it starts tasting like, hey, it doesn't have that proper terps, maybe it's getting the temps outside or getting a warm and you're not cooling down the drying tent, it's definitely going to start baking off your terps essentially. Like anything after 26 degrees is way too hot. Even 24, I would say, is a bit too hot for me personally. I would keep it low 20s, as close to 20 as possible, pretty much. That makes a big difference for your drying. But yeah, it's really just, like I said, taking care every single step and not cutting corners. You really have to pay attention to what the plant wants and then provide the plant. At the end of the day, we just kind of make an environment for them and they do their thing at the end of the day, regardless of what we're telling them to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we can do.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much for giving us a background of your growing philosophy as well. Because, I mean, even I believe that whether you're growing indoor or outdoor, as long as you take the time, the passion, like you saying in your philosophy to say
Yeah,
that it's the whole process that makes the dank. It's not just like the nutrients or the seeds, it's the whole process.
exactly.
But can you just
Exactly.
dive a bit deeper, because you talked about flood and drain systems? Can you just to someone like who doesn't really know, how do you set up your hydroponic system? Like
Okay.
what's needed, like what tools are needed, and how do you go about doing it? Because a lot of people think hydroponics means growing it in water. So do you just put the
Yeah.
seed in water? How does it work?
Yeah. So hydroponics is like kind of a broad term, you know what I mean? It does involve water, obviously, but there's many different forms of hydroponics, right? So I did flood and drain, which was leaker, which is clay pebbles essentially. There's also DWC, there's odd DWC, there's aeroponics as well, and then cocoa is a form of hydroponics. Like a lot of people didn't know, especially myself. When I first started with cocoa, I treated it like soil, but it's hydro at the end of the day, just because it's an inert medium, meaning there's no like compost, no worm castings, any fertilizer. That's the word I'm looking for. Inside said media. So yeah, depending on the style that you do, if you want to do flood and drain, it's pretty simple. Simply just one pump. You're gonna need a platform or a table to put your tray on. You're obviously gonna need to make sure that you flood within the height of your tray. So if your tray is 15 centimeters high, you wanna only flood about I want to say like 5 centimeters, 5 to 7 centimeters high. You don't need to do a lot at all. Maybe just like the bottom third. That's flood and drain. So that's just one pump required. Then you get DWC, which is with a air stone. So you just need a single air stone or as many as you want, honestly. I would say it's a problem to have not enough air as opposed to too much oxygen being supplied to the roots. I don't think there's that much of a negative, or the negative isn't as bad as not enough oxygen within a DWC. That being said, there's also a cracking method as well, which is actually no air stone, and it just works on the water level being taken like up by the plant, and then there's oxygen available. Then there's recirculating deep water culture, which is with a pump and an air stone. So basically, you have like a little pump going up, and then it will go past the pebbles, usually in a 1 liter pot, and then it runs down and it just recirculates, just constantly going. And then you also get like cocoa, as I explained, where instead of with cocoa, there's also different methods. You could do with hand watering. You can water it every day till runoff. So it's more of a passive hydroponic system in the sense that you have cocoa, you have a volume of water. The said volume of water has a specific EC or pH because of the water that you put in. And then as you water it the next time, you then flush that said volume out and you altered it like that. So instead of, a pump and a air stone or anything like that, doing that physically, you have it a bit more passively through the soil in that sense. And also by the water being forced through the cocoa itself, it gives it fresh oxygen as well in that sense. So right now I'm doing cocoa just because with the leaker pebbles I found that they're more prone to fungus gnats just because it's a bit more open as well. And also I moved the pot size up, so I was doing it 1 liters, but they require a lot of watering. And right now I've actually moved into auto pots. So auto pots is also it's a hydroponic system, but more of a passive one, like I said, but it works a bit differently to normal cocoa systems where you water from the top down. It's actually from the bottom upwards. So basically, I have a big tank. Like I don't know if you can see it behind you there, but there's a big tank, and it works with gravity. So basically, I got sick of all the pumps going all full to feed my cocoa plants. It was just too much noise. Essentially, I have nothing against doing it like that. I would say it's even better than that way, just because I'm trying this for my first time now. But yeah, it's a lot more quieter. It's a lot more simpler. You just set up these bases. It is a bit pricey. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a lot more pricier than like just a pump or any of the systems that I mentioned to you now. It's a lot more pricier than that. Like a one pot system is probably like 500-600 bucks, and you could buy a DWC kit or DWC kit. You could buy a flood and drain. Like you could make one yourself for about the same price of just one pot. So I got an 8 pot system itself. So then that puts it into perspective how much the cost is of this method versus that. But that's just because I didn't want pumps. So that was just a personal choice for me. And because I've seen good results with this as well.
So that's really amazing. Thank you very much for sharing. That's a broad spectrum of different hydroponic systems. I'm mostly familiar with the DWC, which is the deep water culture, but there's a lot of methods, and there's also a lot of ways for you to even make it yourself, because I know that it gets quite pricey. So my next question would be that, because I mean, hydroponics, people assume, right? When you look at the menus and you go to dispensaries or even online, there's a lot of online shops now. Hydroponics seems to be the most expensive. So the question is, are people paying for the expenses of the grower, or is it really better cannabis flower, or cannabis at the end of the day, whether you're extracting the trichomes, is it
Yeah.
better cannabis at the end of the day as opposed to someone who's growing outdoor, straight inside of the soil, without any netting or something. Like, why is there a difference in these prices?
I would say it's like probably a lot of miseducation out there, like that one method is better than the other because there isn't a way of quantifying what is better than other. Like taste is subjective, effect is subjective. So many characteristics of what makes good bud or extract is really subjective at the end of the day. You can look at like THC numbers and things like that, but again, that's subjective because a lot of people, including myself, don't think THC, is the most important number. So that being said, I would say with hydro, for me back in the day, I fell for that personally. When back in the day, I think it was maybe 2016, definitely pre-legalization times. Like there was no information out there, and they were like, "Oh, we got this sick hydro, bro. Like trust me, it's dank." And then you look at the bag, and it's like it's frosty, and you're like, "Yo, that's crazy." So yeah, and that was like $200 a G back in the day. Like that's crazy. Like in 2016 money compared to today. I mean, obviously it's still expensive today. So what I would say now though is there is a shift where people are actually paying for the opposite a bit more for the organics because kind of the same way if you think about it with your food. Some people pay more for the grass fed chicken or the beef, you know what I mean? Some people prefer that the products that they consume are derived from natural things. But it's like also what you determine is natural. You could say that pretty much like all carbon forms of nutrients are natural in a sense. It's like such a broad topic to go into what is really organic. If you dive down to like the real scientific methods, it's obviously just in a growing sense, it's what the fertilizer is actually made of. You know what I mean? If it comes from an organic byproduct, or is it just straight up salt from the earth? You know what I mean? They got to get the salts
Mhm.
from where, or the things to get the salts from there. You know, it didn't come from nothing at the end of the day. So yeah, like I said, sorry, it was people are paying actually more for organic things now. That's kind of the trend that we're moving into now. It's just because it's a considered more not boutique or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Small batch craft. That's the word. Yeah,
Yeah,
so more
craft
craft now.
cannabis.
Just because, and yeah, I can't possibly say one is better than the other. I just say what works for me personally. If I was on the first floor, because this is not like on the ground floor, this is on the second floor, then I would maybe be doing organics. I'm not gonna lie. I have a fabric bed outside, and whatever I do grow inside, it just gets massive. And it's like with minimal input, so I do see the good sides of organics and where it can thrive. And I've seen people do very, very well with organics, like crazy. Probably the best part I've had was organics. I'm not gonna lie. Like, but I wouldn't say necessarily one is clearly better than the other because it could have been just that pheno was very nice, with just that strain was very nice, and I haven't had like 10 synthetic strains and 10 organic strains next to each other, and then like do a blind taste test and then really see is it better. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
some people say organics is better, some people say synthetics is better. I'm just going for what works for me essentially.
I really love like how you talked about craft cannabis, talking about this boutiqueness of the cannabis, how there's certain people that really take extra care. And I think
Yeah,
when you're working with things like hydroponics, a lot of things can go wrong as opposed to just planting the seed in the ground, and once the tree is up, it kind of adjusts to the environment. And how even if you just give it plain water without it being pH'd, it still
yeah,
won't show too many signs of stress.
yeah,
But if just the pH is
it's
wrong in
wrong.
hydroponics, or the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients are wrong, then
Yeah,
it's a mess.
yeah,
And
less margin for error. Yeah,
people assume also that if you're growing hydroponics, it means you have good genetics, because you wouldn't want to waste a lot of time, effort, and money growing hydroponics for a very low quality strain. So maybe hydroponics is expensive because people assume already that you're working on a very good genetic.
yeah, I would say people maybe assume it's expensive. In my personal opinion, I would say it's a lot cheaper. I mean, I would say with organics, your startup cost is high in the sense that if you're going to do it properly, you need a lot of soil, you need a big bed of soil, you need a bunch of amendments. Obviously, the same with organics. I mean, synthetics, you're going to need an EC pen, you're going to need a pH pen, you're going to need just general things to monitor, like stuff you maybe won't really care about, like you mentioned, pH. In organics, it wouldn't necessarily matter as well. But I'll say, depending on the nutrient line that you buy with synthetics, your cost over the long run is going to be more just because you're buying more and more bottles. But the bottles are a lot cheaper than buying 1,000 liters of soil. You know what I mean? Like to do a little fabric bed. I mean, 1,000 liters of soil is gonna run you a pretty penny at like 200 to 300 bucks for 30 liters of decent soil. This is assuming you're not making it yourself. But that's what I would say is like the best way to do it is with big like amounts of soil when it comes to
Yes.
organics. Not that you can't do it in soil, small soil or anything like that. I would just prefer to do it in a big, just because I feel like that for me personally it's a bit better experience compared to constantly having to water, constantly having to re-amend type of things as well, and just keep more of a general eye compared to big fabric. Yeah, then
Noob, girl, can you hear me? I don't know if I'm losing connection now.
yeah, I can hear you, bro. Is that you? Is that the what is that? Oh, it's gone now.
Um,
Seems to cut off now, bro.
yeah. Noob grows.
Yo, yo,
Man, what
yo.
the hell? Bro,
Yo, yeah. No worries, bro.
I
We can
can,
just
yeah,
what
pick
happened?
it up from where we left off. Yeah. I hope
We
you
can just
cool.
cut it out, bro. No worries.
So, cause coming from Pretoria, looking for seeds, looking for any grow equipment, a lot of the information was pointing me towards Cape Town. And
Uh,
being in the industry, I don't know, it's like a joke to me when I feel like Cape Town is like the California of the weed industry here in South Africa. So can you
yeah.
just talk to us more about how's the scene there in Cape Town when it comes to cannabis? How are the growers?
Yo.
How are the people that are using the medicine?
Okay, so yeah, the scene in Cape Town, it's pretty interesting right now. There's a lot of dispensaries coming. I don't know how much dispensaries are in your area, but I can tell you, in my area alone, like within, I want to say 10 kilometers, not even 10 kilometer radius of where I am. There's probably like six dispensaries. Just like four of them are the same person as well. That's the funniest part. So
Wow.
those dispensaries aren't that good at all. I would say the dispensaries in town are really where it's at right now. I would say the best dispensaries would be Blind Tiger, the Green Mill, and then Canna Studio, just in terms of accessibility and where they're at right now. But the quality, I would say, the Blind Tiger is very good, and the Green Mill is like hit and miss sometimes. They also do a good flower, but obviously the black market has always really has the best quality because those are really the people that's kind of taking the extra time and effort. A lot of the time, I'm not gonna lie, the stuff being sold over the counter is like gray area. You know what I mean? It's like some places stock home growers, some people don't. Some people take a whole bunch of old facility weed. That's what's pretty much happening, driving the price down. So yeah, price is interesting. The quality is interesting as well. It's quite a bit of a mixed scene in terms of what the dispensaries are supplying. In terms of what the actual home growers or like just like local people are growing, like everybody's onto exotic genetics, not the brand, but just like that type of style of genetics. Things that look pretty, finish fast, have the most steps. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what everybody wants. Like you mentioned, nobody wants to be paying that long to keep something going. If you are that like worried about cost. But yeah, that's pretty much what people are into right now. It's really about flavor. I will say extracts is very big right now, especially like live ash rosin. There's quite a few big people making like very very good extracts, and people are focusing on quality. But there's like mixed batches. There's some people that still honestly don't care. Like they'll take anything these days, like in anything whatever the price is, as long as it looks good. You know what I mean? There will still be a large majority that don't care, and it's kind of, I would say, maybe 30 to 40% of people, maybe even 50, a strong 50-50. Some people care and just use it as whatever, and some people really care about the quality. Oh, did it kick it out, my bro?
The,
Oh, there you go.
that's very good. I don't know if you can hear me still because I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on with the internet. But that section was cool. Yes. Okay. Bro, like I'm having internet problems or what, bro? Um. Anyways, that's cool. I don't want it to chop up like this. I want it to like stabilize. Hey, bruh.
Yeah.
But we're almost done. I literally have just like two more questions for you, Noob Goes,
No
okay?
worries, bro. No worries, bro.
Um,
Mm.
and the good thing
You
about
want us to
StreamYard is
record
that
it as well?
it'll take the best part of your place and my place. What can I do? Ah, man. Are we still together?
Yeah, I got you. You still there, bro. It's just a bit jumpy,
Yes,
but I
yes,
can
bro.
hear
This
you.
fucking internet is gonna drive me crazy. Let me try to connect on a different Wi-Fi, but just give me a
Okay.
second.
No worries.
Um, bro, like I can clearly tell I'm still in Africa.
Hey, sorry?
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, there you go.
I was just saying, apologies about the
No worries.
chops, because like I'm saying, I don't know, people are waking up or something. It's a Sunday,
People are
so I think
charged or
maybe the
something.
Wi-Fi is just getting a bit screwed. Yeah, but thank you so much for just dropping the knowledge about the 411 and what's happening in Cape Town. So do you
Yeah.
think that the market is getting very saturated when it comes to cannabis, and is it an
Oh, yes.
advantage or a disadvantage?
I would say it's extremely saturated. So firstly, it's very saturated. Like I promise you, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is growing pot right now. Like even my neighbors over here, like everybody's growing cannabis right now. What I would say, there's obviously pros and cons. So the pros are that obviously there's more people that's more accepting of the plant. There's obviously more better products and things that are available because there's a bigger market now, so you get access to like higher quality things, and obviously more information. As more people grow, more information comes out, and more people start to connect. Disadvantages, I would say obviously in terms of the market saturation, obviously the price of things will drop. You know what I mean? But quality, I will say, stands above the price. If you have quality stuff, it doesn't really matter. They'll take whatever it is, like, or they'll pay whatever the price is as well. So you still see bud that's $190 in the dispo, or like 180, even on the black market. It doesn't matter if it's like illegal. You know what I mean? So quality is above, kind of trumps above that. But for like mid-level stuff, like, yeah, there's a lot to compete with. You know what I mean? Especially on quantity. You know, there's a mix of things happening. So there's the saturation of home growers, and then there's also the large amount of facilities that haven't been able to offtake their stuff, and then just flooding the black market as well. That's obviously neither. That's allegedly, you know what I mean. But this is through the grapevines that I've been hearing
Yeah,
from like multiple different people that like, hey, there's no specific names of people, but it's just like old stuff, man.
yeah,
It's like things that's been sitting for like months, you know, maybe because they couldn't get the licensing part for the export, they couldn't get a buyer, and then they have to cover the costs, you know what I mean, to keep the lights on or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's pretty interesting what's happening here. But yeah, there's a lot of people growing, there's a lot of people smoking. Like I said, there's 4 brands, but it's the same brand as 4 dispensaries in my area, like in the
mm,
same area, which is nuts. And they're all selling it. I'm not gonna say what area or where it
yeah.
is, but it's all, it's very bad. It's very, I think like one of my first runs was better than the stuff that they're selling for like $150, bro. It's like, it's very bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, the market's crazy, and then you'll get stuff that's like very nice. You know what I mean? You just have to go out there and
And
find
you know, you're talking about something that's very important here because there's a huge surge of dispos and private clubs. And the growers that are growing for these facilities are only interested in getting the flower on the shelf, but they're not actually advocates for quality, you know?
it.
And you would take your triple A grade greenhouse, you know, and the people that are selling hydroponic indoor, they literally have like nothing. There's no soul in the high. There's literally just sweet smelling buds, but it's literally taking away the magic of what the plant actually does. So I don't
Yeah.
know how we can, you know, like, because you know the industry just really started for us here in South Africa being legal. So I don't know how people can, you know, really know what to expect. How would you know a good bud from a bad bud? What's a good high? What's a bad
Yeah.
tasting weed? Because a lot of people are really also starting, coming out and trying new things. So they're not knowledgeable. So what would you suggest for someone to know what's actually good and what's actually bad when it comes to cannabis?
Okay, so I would say when you're looking at it physically, it's like, what does this look like? Like, what's the color like? Is it clean? Is it brown? You know what I mean? Is it old? Because usually if it's brown, it's going to be a bit of older bud. Because like I said, there's some places that selling very old bud and squished up. Sometimes you can't even see the bud before you even purchase it. But if you can see the bud in a jar, I would say sometimes seeing the things in the jar is a bit of a like hit or miss because what you see in the jar isn't going to be what they're going to pack you inside of that little bag. I'm obviously referring to dispensaries now, but you want to see some trichomes at least, like not that bud needs to have excessive amounts of trichomes or anything like that. It's obviously nice, but you need to be able to see was it handled properly, you know, was it squished inside of a bale, you know, so you have some idea of like did they have any care, you know what I mean? Because I've seen facilities that are doing it properly where they take care of the buds to, you know, not squish anything. You can physically just see like if the prawn looks new or not. I think that's really a big thing is the freshness of it and also the smell. So is it going to be like a hay-like smell or do you get any actual characteristics, you know what I mean? Is there any fuel? Is it like fruity? Is it sweet? Some not spicy, I would say like pine, you know, pine needles. That's a very common term, you know what I mean? Yeah, go for the small as well. I would say for my personal experience, just me, I go on flavor. When I walk into the dispensary, I tell them, just give me your best tasting thing. I don't care about the THC. I don't worry about nothing. I don't just give me the best tasting thing because I want to be able to smoke it or whatever I'm doing with it and like kind of allocated to some form of a flavor, even if it's a combination, even if it's just sweet, sour, something. You know what I mean? It's not just grass. I don't want to be smoking pretty much just hay essentially. So yeah, for me personally, the most important thing to look out for is really the terps. So small. Don't worry about THC because it's kind of more about the entourage effect. What people are learning now is that like the specific terpenes or the combination of terpenes combined with other cannabinoids are really what gives you the full effect or the full body effect. And then there's obviously arguments that some people say you can't get it in synthetic, some people say you can only get it in organics, like kind of the full expression of the plant, and that's like a whole topic that I don't think I know enough about to even like debate about properly. But yeah, it's really an important thing. It's really not about THC. It's really the entourage effect. So yeah, terps is is everything pretty much. And it mustn't be old. Honestly, I've had like pretty decent like a brand new home grower. You know, like even my dad personally, I I set up a grow for my dad, an organic grow, and he did hella jelly by Humboldt Seed Co. And Renegade, some Renegade seed coat or some strain, I can't remember, but I had the jelly and it was grown just by him. He just did plain water, top dressing. Like I said, I'm not totally against organics because it's very simple. Like I could teach my dad. My dad's like 45 years old, you know, so he was able to learn that pretty easily and grow some very good, tasty flour. And even that flour from a first time grower with just basic input was better than some of the top shelf that they're selling at dispensary. So it's really subjective, you know what I mean, as to what you can find out there. I will say the market right now just wants looks, small, anything. They just want the biggest thing right now. And then, like I said, there's the odd few that will go for quality over effects or THC or anything like that.
That's really big. Thank you very much for sharing. That was very in depth. And I feel
Yeah.
like when it comes to the hydroponic side of things and understanding just how the hydro guys do it, even for any grower that's willing to learn, you really shared like an invaluable amount of knowledge. And for newcomers, because the industry is really in a way where there's a lot of people that they've had the stigma broken within them and they're going out to try new stuff. And I think
Mm.
just what you said about it having been fresh, what does it smell like, what does it look like when you look at it,
Yeah.
all those little key things are very important. So thank you very much. I do not know if you have any last words for anyone who's a new grower or anyone who's a newcomer to the site of cannabis. You can just leave them with a few words, brother.
I'll say if you're reluctant on growing, just start. Just plant the seed. It doesn't matter indoor, outdoor, organic, synthetic. Just plant the seed. Just try it for yourself, and I promise you, you'll never look back. You'll probably be very reluctant to grow flower. I mean, smoke anybody else's flower after that. If you have a good experience, even if you have a bad experience, I'm sure you're gonna try again at least because you'll be hooked like me and me. So everybody I've introduced them to. So yeah, really just get started. If you fail, keep on trying again. I've stubbed my toe, like I said, stubbed my toe metaphorically many times. There's many grows I haven't had any photos on, nothing like failed things. I just chopped, put it in the bin, like a whole tent. I think my last run, I threw away maybe like 200 to 300 grams of like just straight up stuff that did bad on. Because yeah, you can't have any room for any things like that. You know, if it's not up to quality, you have to throw the stuff in the bin. You know, you can't take the loss. You know, you can't be smoking any moldy weed or giving that to anybody. Certainly putting that on yourself as well. So yeah, just get out there. Don't be afraid to try. Really, just keep on going. Take the lessons or the mistakes, so knock on the chin, and then yeah, just keep growing. Honestly.
NoobGrowzCPT, thank you very much. I'm gonna leave Noob Growz's links where you can chat with them if you guys want to go and spam him messages in the DM right in the description so you can check that out. And until next time, guys, cheers, y'all.
Cheers.